Sam, I've just provided a couple of anecdotes which on their own may or may not be concerning to the panel here. But as some say, the plural of anecdote is not data. So do we have any data to demonstrate that there's something to these anecdotes, that there's a trend that certain topics for research or discussion are taboo in the academy? Or is it more or less what we've been seeing for the past 30 to 40 years in social media or a hyper-partisan news environment is driving?
Got it. In terms of data over, are there topics that are off limits? I have never seen anyone actually try to quantify that in any meaningful way. There are certainly numerous topics that I have been told very much informally we can't talk about. Yes, we don't do it. It's not a good idea. For some of those folks that you mentioned, quite frankly, I'm not so sure why they wrote if they weren't tenured. They know there's a consequence. You cannot plead ignorance here. People know that your careers are on the line. Fair or unfair, I'm surprised that some of them would do it. As actually you were doing the introductions, one thing that struck me as interesting is, as a professor at Sarah Lawrence College, one of our nation's most progressive left-leaning institutions.
Here in New York?
Here in New York, yes. What I thought was interesting is this panel would never happen. Not just because of the topic, but quite frankly, they would say there's no diversity on this panel for other reasons, racial, ethnic, gender, and so on. So, for better or for worse, I would say right now that, quite frankly, discussion is shut down by anybody.
But I want to follow up a bit here, because you have said that when you first came on board at Sarah Lawrence College, that you felt a bit uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right? So. And you said that it's easier to just keep to yourself if you have opinions that don't necessarily fit within whatever the campus orthodoxy is at Sarah Lawrence or at campuses generally. Right?
Were you untenured then?
Yes. I mean, the reality was, on my second day of teaching, I was attacked by a board of trustee member. I used a term from one of my dissertation advisors, which was the dark side of civic engagement. That evening, I was accused of being a racist. And this is a story I now tell publicly, very, very proudly, because I realized, look, I was in New York City. I wanted to keep a job. This was shortly after the collapse of Wall Street. Universities were not flush with cash. Universities were not rolling out the red carpet to hire young faculty members. So I realized very quickly, I may be right, but is this worth fighting about right now? The answer is no. I did what some of our colleagues have been writing about, which is trying to pass on the right. I tried to be quiet. I put my head down, earned tenure pretty quickly, and as soon as that happened, I started speaking up and have not stopped. But and I think it's making a difference to a degree. But to these other folks who are untenured, I'm surprised they would do it.
Yeah, well.
And good for you, because I'm really shocked and disappointed by how many tenured faculty members are squandering that precious, vanishing privilege by not being courageous enough.
We have the greatest platform in the world. We should be using it, and that's one of the things that I love about Heterodox and everyone on it. Whether we agree or not, we have this platform. It's a privilege and an honor in this country to be able to have that. Certainly if we look at other places, whether it's what's going on in Budapest and so on, we don't have that privilege. So I find it frustrating when my colleagues, and I mean colleagues broadly, refuse or choose to stay quiet and go home.
And not rock the boat.
Exactly.